Tithonus is a poem written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, first published in 1860. It's a dramatic monologue that retells the Greek myth of Tithonus, who was granted eternal life but not eternal youth by the gods, leading to his endless suffering as he ages indefinitely. Poem overview. Poet, Alfred Lord Tennyson. Published, 1860. Lines. The poem consists of 76 lines. Stanzas. It is divided into 6 stanzas. Structure. The poem doesn't follow a specific rhyme scheme and reads as a dramatic monologue, where Tithonus speaks directly, expressing his regret and anguish. Tithonus by Alfred Lord Tennyson offers a rich exploration of several profound themes, most notably immortality versus mortality, aging and decay, regret and longing, and nature and time. Let's explore these themes in depth, while analyzing the poet's use of language and symbolism to convey them. 1. Immortality versus mortality. At the heart of the poem is the paradox of immortality. Tithonus was granted eternal life by the gods, but not eternal youth, leading to a tragic existence. This theme speaks to the human desire to escape death while underestimating the natural and necessary process of life and aging. The myth of Tithonus serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that immortality, without the preservation of youth, is not a gift, but a curse. Tennyson's perspective. The poet uses the myth to reflect on the nature of life and death. Tithonus, once a young and vibrant man, is now withered and aged but unable to die. His immortality becomes synonymous with suffering, as he can no longer experience the pleasures of youth, but is condemned to witness life from the periphery. Tithonus's realization that man comes and tills the field and lies beneath, line 68, emphasizes the inevitability of death for humans and its role in the natural cycle. Mortality is presented not as something to fear, but as a natural and even desirable end, a key theme in Tennyson's broader work. The symbolism of immortality. In Tithonus, immortality represents not freedom, but entrapment. It defies the natural order and leaves Tithonus outside the human experience of birth, life, death, and renewal. He watches the dawn, Eos, rise again and again, symbolizing the relentless passage of time. This endless existence, devoid of youth and vitality, turns immortality into a torment. 2. Aging and decay. One of the most poignant aspects of the poem is its depiction of the inevitable decline that accompanies aging. Tithonus's transformation from a strong and vigorous man into a frail and weakened being is detailed vividly by Tennyson, making the reader feel the weight of his physical and emotional decay. Imagery of aging. Tennyson's imagery of aging is powerful, as he describes Tithonus as withered and gray. The language emphasizes the physical degradation that Tithonus suffers, underscoring the consequences of living beyond one's natural lifespan. The immortality he once desired now makes him envy mortals who, despite their brief lives, are spared the agony of continuous decay. The burden of time. Time becomes a relentless force in Tithonus, continually wearing him down. Tithonus expresses despair at the unceasing passage of time, reflected in phrases like the ever-silent spaces of the east and white-haired shadow, lines 12-16. These images illustrate how time strips him of everything, including his connection to the world, leaving him as a mere shadow of his former self. 3. Regret and longing. Regret permeates Tithonus's words as he laments the choices that led him to this tragic state. He reflects on his past desires, realizing that the immortality he once sought has become his eternal prison. His longing for death, for the release that mortality would provide, reveals a deep yearning for an end to his suffering. Contrast with the past. The poem constantly contrasts Tithonus's present state with his past life. He remembers the days when he was strong and favored by the gods, and how he enjoyed the love of Eos, the goddess of the dawn. Now he longs for the mortality he once despised, as seen in his plea to Eos, "Release me and restore me to the ground," line 72. His longing to return to the earth reflects his realization that life's value comes from its transience and that death offers peace. Tithonus's realization. Tennyson uses Tithonus's monologue to explore the theme of regret on a deeply personal level. Tithonus acknowledges that his suffering is the result of his own desire for eternal life, making his condition even more tragic. He has come to understand that human life is beautiful precisely because it is fleeting, and his mistake was in seeking to escape that cycle. 4. Nature and time. The relationship between nature and time is a recurring theme in the poem, particularly in the way Tithonus is juxtaposed with the cyclical nature of the world around him. While he remains static in his immortal state, nature continues its unceasing cycle of renewal. Cyclical imagery. The poem is rich with natural imagery, particularly the recurring motif of the dawn. Eos, the goddess of the dawn, represents the daily renewal of life that Tithonus cannot participate in. Every morning, he watches the dawn rise, symbolizing the passage of time, which he is powerless to escape. The cycle of day and night reminds him of the human life cycle, of birth, growth, and death, which he is excluded from. His plea to Eos to take back thy gift reflects his desire to return to this natural cycle. Line 11. Contrast with human life. Tithonus is set apart from the natural order, highlighting the theme of isolation. Unlike mortals, who live, age, and die, Tithonus is stuck in a perpetual twilight, unable to join the cycle of life and death. His existence outside of time serves as a metaphor for the unnaturalness of immortality. Nature is presented as something dynamic and renewing, whereas Tithonus remains static and decaying. Broader philosophical reflection. In Tithonus, Tennyson also reflects on broader existential questions that have concerned humanity for centuries. What is the purpose of life if it is endless? Is there value in a life without an end? Tithonus's tragic fate suggests that part of what gives life meaning is its impermanence. Mortality, with all its limitations, is essential to the human experience. The nature of desire. The poem also addresses the nature of desire and how it can blind individuals to the consequences of their wishes. Tithonus's desire for immortality was born out of a fear of death, but he failed to understand that life without end is not life at all. His suffering becomes a lesson in the dangers of desiring too much or desiring things that are contrary to human nature. Conclusion. Tennyson's Tithonus is a profound meditation on the human condition, exploring the relationship between life, death, time, and nature. Through the myth of Tithonus, the poem conveys the futility of trying to escape the natural cycle of life and the inevitable suffering that comes with defying mortality. Tithonus's endless existence becomes a powerful metaphor for the burden of time and the natural decay that follows. Ultimately, the poem reminds us that mortality is a gift, one that gives our lives meaning by providing a sense of completion. The unrelenting passage of time, represented by the dawn, is something all mortals must face, but it is also a source of renewal. Through Tithonus's tragedy, Tennyson offers a reflection on the human experience, one that values life's transience and sees death not as a curse, but as an essential part of existence.